Today we are going to conduct a group discussion on whether 25% reservation is a boon or a curse in private schools for disadvantaged children. Let's do this.
Welcome to all. I am very glad to start our group discussion on 25% reservation for the disadvantaged children. This was first introduced by Kapil Sibal when he was Human Resource Minister, and this was implemented by the central government. This was immediately made compulsory in the CBSE schools, that is the Kendra Vidyalaya schools, to give an equal education to poor and rich. And what is your opinion?
According to my opinion, it is boon for our disadvantaged students, because many students are not getting seats in the private schools. Due to this 25% reservation, they will get the seats in the private schools. But the government has to restrict the admission process, because in admission process many schools are committing corruption in the admission process, and the identification must be according to the income.
According to the Act of 12, which is announced by our government, 25% of seats are allocated for the disabled people, and the people who are around 1 kilometer alone can apply for first standard to fifth standard, and the people who are around 3 kilometers can alone apply for 6 to 8. And it also depends upon the salary of the parents, and because of this, most of the high rank students cannot get seats in the reputed schools or colleges. What's your opinion?
I would say that it's the responsibility of the government to create awareness through television, radio and everything, and they also should conduct social auditing to create awareness. Your opinion?
Actually, students at the back front should be educated, because if they aren't educated, they should just go for work. So preventing child labor is one of the main important things. So students who are at the lower class should be educated about it. What's your opinion?
Okay, now we can see about the admission process. Admission process of two kinds: common admission process and school admission process. Common admission process in the sense students can apply for the schools what they want. But according to schools admission process, the schools will select the students to which school they can be admitted. So these two kinds of admission process are very useful to the students to get more seats are available due to this process. So what's your opinion?
Yeah, it is up to only 8th standard. After 8th it is not valid. This act is very worst. Up to 8th standard only it is valid. After 8th standard it cannot be used. An opinion, please.
According to my opinion, reimbursement should be done on the basis of students and their family background. The money should be transferred to the account of the student in the schools, and it should be divided into two parts. One should be at the beginning of the admission, and the other one should be at the end of each year, in which the student will pay the money. What's your opinion?
Disadvantaged students are permitted in the school which they don't like. They can easily apply for the transfer to the school which they want to study. What's your opinion?
That there is a big problem in it. That is when the poor children get placed in that very high schools, they cannot move easily with the rich children. As they are very well settled in that school, the poor children cannot be easily moved with, and it creates inferiority complex in them. And what's your opinion?
According to me, government should maintain the list of reimbursement and the money transfer, so that we may be able to get the report upon student data. What's your opinion?
I would say that poor students, rich students today are well educated, so they will have knowledge about discrimination, etc. So they will move with their friends very easily. So this will not create an inferiority complex among them. What's your opinion?
many schools are not announcing the number of seats they have reserved for the disadvantaged people, but the government to restrict that, restrict to all the schools that they should inform how many seats they have reserved for the disadvantaged people. What's it?
There was also a bad thought among the students that even if they didn't do well or if they didn't do their studies well, they will get seats in very reputed schools or colleges. And there are also some of misbehavior in the allocation of the seats. Some of the private sections are not very strict to this act, and they get money and they allocate seats to the rich people. What's your opinion?
In my opinion, I would say that it hinders the development of India, I mean our country, because more capable students are not given a chance to study in those institutions which they prefer. So it definitely hinders our development.
I would say that educating rich people is not fair, because it is okay, but India needs to develop also the uneducated people. So education to uneducated people is also one of the important things. Your opinion?
According to me, the education must be given equally to the rich and also to the poor. So in each schools, the 25% reservation must be decreased, and it must be given equally.
Okay, my opinion is 25% reservation should be, it cannot be stopped, because we need to implement that process, because more children are very poor. They are all not getting a good education probably. So this type of 25% of reservation will lead them to get some more education, so that all the students can get educated. We can't say no one is educated, or people getting more awareness nowadays. So I'm telling that my opinion is we need 25% of reservation.
Finally, we have come to a conclusion to this GD. We can neither conclude whether it's a boon or a curse, but it depends from person to person. If the student is willing to study, let him get a seat into the education institute, or if he doesn't decide to, let him not. Thank you.